What if you could buy the most effective mineral attractant in deer hunting for $1 at the gas station on the way to your stand? Not from the hunting aisle, from the battery rack, next to the beef jerky and the energy drinks, the same gas station you stop at for coffee on the way to your stand, which I know you do. Because I do it too, and I know I should not, has the single best mineral attractant value in hunting, sitting in a blister pack on the counter for $1. A pack of 4 cheap zinc carbon A batteries from the dollar store contains more mineral-producing zinc surface area than 20 galvanized washers. The casing on every zinc carbon battery is made of a thin zinc shell, and when that shell is in contact with a different metal and moisture, it releases mineral ions into the surrounding wood and soil the same way any galvanic cell does, except faster and in higher concentration because the zinc surface area is so much larger. A single AA battery casing has roughly 10 to 15 times the zinc surface area of a galvanized washer, about the same surface area as a playing card. 4 batteries in a $1 pack give you 40 to 60 times the reactive zinc surface of the penny and washer setup from our previous videos, and the deer response on camera is proportionally stronger. A buddy who hunts public land in southern Illinois, Shawnee country, called me last November and said he had tried the penny and nail trick from one of our videos, and it worked, but the response was slow, taking about 10 to 14 days before he saw consistent deer visits. He asked me if there was a way to speed it up. I told him to try the battery method I had been testing on my own properties, and he set up 2 battery sites on stumps along a known ridgeline. His Tacticam cameras showed deer investigating both sites within 72 hours. The faster response makes sense when you understand the chemistry. More zinc surface area in contact with moisture means more electrons flowing, which means more zinc atoms dissolving into the wood and soil per hour, which means the mineral scent plume reaches detectable concentration faster and extends further from the source. I have been running this setup for 2 full seasons across properties in 4 states, and the results have been consistent enough that I consider this the strongest version of the galvanic mineral trick I have tested. I am going to show you exactly how to build it, exactly where to place it, and exactly what kind of batteries to buy. Stay until the end because there is a wiring configuration that connects all 4 batteries in a chain that quadruples the voltage of the galvanic cell and produces an ion release rate that I have not been able to match with any other passive mineral method. Before you set this up, check your state wildlife agency website. Any substance that deposits minerals in the soil is classified as bait in some states and restricted in CWD management zones. What is legal in Illinois may get you a fine in Wisconsin. 5 minutes of research protects your tag. The batteries you want are zinc carbon, not alkaline. This matters. The package will usually say heavy duty or general purpose rather than alkaline or long lasting. Zinc carbon batteries have a zinc metal casing as the outer shell. Alkaline batteries have a steel casing, and steel does not participate in the galvanic reaction the way zinc does. The cheapest batteries at the dollar store, the ones in the plain yellow or red packaging that nobody buys for their TV remote because they die in 2 weeks, those are the ones you want. 4 of them cost $1, sometimes less. I bought a 16-pack at a closeout sale for $2 last spring. That is enough batteries for 4 mineral sites that will run for 12 to 18 months each. $2 for a full season of mineral attraction across 4 stand locations. My Hawk stand costs more than a decade of battery mineral sites. My Remington ammo costs more per box. My gas station coffee on the way to the stand costs more per morning. The math on this one is not close. The zinc casing is the active ingredient. You are not using the battery for its electrical charge. You are using it for its metal. This is the part that sounds crazy until you understand the chemistry. A battery's job in a flashlight is to produce electricity from a chemical reaction between zinc and manganese dioxide. A battery's job on your stump is to provide a zinc surface that corrodes in the presence of moisture and a different metal. 2 completely different uses for the same object. One costs you $1 and lasts a week in a remote control. The other costs you $1 and lasts a year on a stump pulling deer to your stand. A dead battery works exactly as well as a fresh one for this purpose because the zinc casing does not deplete when the battery runs out of charge. The charge is gone, but the zinc is still there, and the zinc is all the deer care about. I have a coffee can on my workbench full of dead AA batteries that my wife was going to throw away. She asked why I was keeping dead batteries. I told her they were worth more dead than alive. She stopped asking questions about my workbench projects around the same time I started labeling jars of pennies. The coffee can is labeled Dear Batteries in permanent marker. My ScentLock bag is starting to smell like zinc. These are the choices I have made, and I stand by all of them. The preparation takes about 3 minutes. Peel the plastic label off each battery to expose the bare zinc casing underneath. You can do this with your thumbnail or a pocket knife. Under the label, you will see a dull gray metal cylinder. That is the zinc. You need the zinc exposed to moisture, not insulated by a plastic wrapper. Take a 6-inch piece of bare copper wire, roughly 12 or 14 gauge, about the thickness of a wooden matchstick. This is the same grounding wire electricians use, and you can buy a foot of it for $0.10 at any hardware store, or strip the insulation off a scrap piece of house wiring. Wrap the copper wire around the middle of the first battery, so the copper is in firm contact with the exposed zinc casing. Then twist the wire to the second battery, then the third, then the fourth, creating a chain of 4 batteries connected by one continuous copper wire. The copper wire touching the zinc casings is where the galvanic reaction happens. Every contact point between copper and zinc becomes an active mineral-producing cell when moisture is present. Everything in this video, plus 60 more field-tested techniques, is in the Buck Hunter's Bible. 90 pages of deer behavior, science, scent control, scouting methods, stand placement, and rut phase tactics, with a quick reference card you can take to the stand. Link in the description below, QR code on screen. Attach the battery chain to a tree or stump by wrapping the copper wire around a branch, wedging it into a crack in the bark, or nailing it to the face of a cut stump with a galvanized nail. The galvanized nail adds even more zinc to the system. You want the batteries in contact with wood that holds moisture, which means bark on a living tree, the cut face of a stump, or a downed log with punky soft wood that absorbs rain like a sponge. A punky stump, which is one that has been decomposing for 2 to 5 years and feels soft when you press your thumb into it, is the best host for this setup because the soft wood holds moisture for 10 to 14 days between rain events. A fresh-cut stump with hard, dense wood dries out in 3 to 4 days, which means the reaction stops sooner between rains. I learned this the hard way on my first battery setup in western North Carolina. I attached the chain to a fresh oak stump that had been cut 3 months earlier. The wood was still hard and green. After a rain, the camera showed 6 deer visits in 48 hours. Then it went dry for 5 days, and the visits stopped cold. Moved the setup to a punky maple stump 30 yards away, and the visit stayed consistent for 12 days between rain events because the soft wood held moisture against the batteries long enough to sustain the reaction through the dry spell. Same batteries, same wire, same ridge, different stump condition. That one variable changed the results from inconsistent to reliable. If I had quit after the first stump, I would have concluded that batteries do not work. Instead, I concluded that I put them on the wrong stump. If you try this and get poor results in the first 2 weeks, check the wood before you blame the method. Push your thumb into the stump face. If it dents, the wood is soft enough to hold moisture. If it does not dent, find a softer stump. The punky wood is the key. Without it, the system works in 3-day bursts between rains instead of 12-day continuous runs. The detection range on the battery setup is noticeably greater than the penny and nail version because the higher zinc surface area produces more ions per hour. On the penny setup, I measured consistent deer approach behavior on cameras out to 80 to 120 yards, roughly the length of a football field. On the battery chain, I am seeing directional approach behavior on cameras out to roughly 150 to 200 yards, about a football field and a half to 2 full football fields. A hunter on the Rockslide forum who tested the battery method on a WMA in northwest Wisconsin reported deer showing directional interest on camera at what he estimated was 175 to 200 yards downwind. His exact words were, "The deer are cutting off trails I have never seen them leave before to get to this stump." I cannot verify his distance estimates, and his testing was on one property for one season, so take it for what it is. But it aligns with what I have seen on my own ground, and it aligns with the physics. More zinc surface area producing more ions per hour should extend the detection range proportionally. I am not a chemist, and a materials scientist would probably refine my explanation. But the cameras are consistent across properties, and that is enough evidence for me to keep running the setup. But it aligns with what I have seen on my own ground. The placement rules are the same as any mineral site. 15 to 25 yards from your shooting position, roughly the distance from the pitcher's mound to home plate. Downwind of your stand on the prevailing wind, so deer approaching the site do not cross your scent column first. And near an existing travel corridor, a scrape line, which is a series of ground scrapes where bucks paw the dirt and deposit scent along a travel route, or a trail intersection where multiple deer paths converge. The battery setup amplifies existing movement. It does not create movement where there is none. I tested this on a flat piece of open timber in Rolling Plains, Texas, with no trails, no scrapes, no droppings, nothing. 2 weeks, 3 deer photos, all incidental. Moved the setup to a mesquite stump on a known travel corridor 200 yards away, and had 14 visits in the first week. Same batteries, same copper wire, different location. The minerals attract deer, but the deer have to be traveling within detection range for the attraction to redirect them. You have probably noticed the same thing with commercial mineral blocks. A block on an active trail pulls deer in. The same block in the middle of an empty flat sits there untouched until a raccoon finds it. The battery setup is the same principle with more reach. More reach means you can be less precise with placement because you are casting a wider net. But there still has to be something in the net to catch. Put the setup where deer already walk and it becomes a stopping point. Put it in empty timber and it is a chemistry experiment with no audience. I speak from experience on this one. My second test setup was in a beautiful piece of hardwood timber with 0 deer sign because I picked the location based on where I wanted to stand rather than where the deer were already moving. 3 weeks of camera data with 4 deer photos. I deserve those results because I broke the most fundamental rule of attractant placement, which is that you attract deer to an area they are already using, not an area you wish they would use. The condition where this underperforms is the same as every galvanic setup, which is extended drought. No moisture means no electrolyte between the metals, which means the reaction stops and the ion release drops to 0. In areas east of the 100th meridian, where morning dew is regular and rainfall is frequent, the battery chain runs nearly continuously from installation through the end of hunting season. In arid western states or during extended dry spells, the setup goes dormant until the next rain event. I tested this during an 11-day dry stretch in western North Carolina last October, and the camera activity dropped to near 0 by day 7 and restarted within 36 hours of the next rain. The deer remembered the site and came back as soon as the reaction reactivated. Same pattern I have seen with every galvanic method. The deer catalog the location and check it periodically even when it is temporarily inactive. A mature buck's mental map of his home range includes every mineral source, every water source, and every reliable food source he has encountered. Once your battery stump makes that list, it stays on the list. The deer checks it the way you check the refrigerator, not because he knows something is there right now, but because something was there last time and it might be there again. That behavioral pattern is what makes the galvanic method work even through dry spells. The site builds loyalty over time the way a natural clay lick or burn site does. Look, everything I am walking through here is in the Buck Hunter's Bible. 90 pages, scent control, scouting, stand placement, rut tactics, plus a quick reference card for the stand. Link in the description, QR code on screen. The wiring configuration I promised at the beginning is what takes this from good to something I have never seen matched by any passive mineral method I have tested. Instead of wrapping all 4 batteries with one continuous piece of copper wire, connect them in series the way batteries connect inside a flashlight. The positive terminal of battery 1, which is the small metal bump on the top end, touches the negative terminal of battery 2, which is the flat metal plate on the bottom end. Then battery 2's positive connects to battery 3's negative, and so on. Run a copper wire from the positive terminal of the first battery to the negative terminal of the last battery to complete the circuit. What you have built is a 6-volt battery pack, 1.5 volts per cell times 4 cells. That is driving the galvanic reaction at a voltage 4 times higher than a single battery and copper wire combination. Higher voltage means a stronger electrochemical driving force, which means the zinc dissolves faster, and the ion release rate increases proportionally. A materials engineer I talked to at a tailgate cookout, and yes, I talk about deer hunting chemistry at cookouts, and my wife has opinions about that. She says, I am the only person at a barbecue who has ever used the phrase galvanic corrosion while holding a hamburger, estimated that a 6-volt series connection would produce roughly 3 to 4 times the ion flux of a parallel connection at the same zinc surface area. I cannot verify that number with my trail cameras because I do not have a way to measure ion concentration in soil, but I can tell you that the series-wired battery chain on a stump in southern Illinois produced 47 deer visits in 3 weeks on a Tacticam camera, while a parallel-wired chain of the same 4 batteries on a stump 50 yards away on the same ridge produced 22. Same batteries, same wire, same stump condition, same 3-week period. The series wiring roughly doubled the traffic. I ran this test over one 3-week period on one ridge, and I am not going to pretend that is definitive proof. The weather could have been a factor. The deer movement patterns could have shifted for reasons unrelated to the wiring, but the difference was consistent across all 3 weeks, not just a spike in one of them, and the approach angles on camera showed deer coming from the downwind direction toward the series stump, from distances that the parallel stump was not reaching. That pattern tells me the series wiring is producing a stronger scent plume, not just getting lucky with random deer traffic. A salt addition amplifies the result further. Same trick from the previous galvanic videos. Sprinkle a teaspoon of coarse rock salt, about a pinch between 3 fingers, around the base of the batteries on the stump face before the first rain. The salt dissolves into the wood and soil, increasing the conductivity of the moisture, which makes the galvanic reaction run even faster. The salt also adds sodium, which deer are physiologically addicted to. Same biology from the Whitetail Facts video. The combination of high surface area, zinc dissolution, series voltage driving force, and sodium attraction creates what is functionally a 3-mineral broadcasting station that costs $1 and change and runs unattended for months. A pack of batteries, a piece of copper wire, a teaspoon of salt, a galvanized nail. Total cost is about $1.15. A commercial mineral block providing the same 3 minerals, zinc, copper, and sodium, costs $22 to $28, dissolves in the first heavy rain, and needs to be replaced every 4 to 6 weeks with a maintenance visit that deposits human scent at the exact location you are trying to keep clean. Think about that for a second. You are paying $24 for a product that requires you to contaminate your hunting area every month in order to maintain it. The battery setup costs $1, and the only time you visit is the day you install it and the day you hunt it. Every other day you are home and the batteries are working. Same principle from the Ghost Lick video. The less you visit a mineral site, the more deer use it during daylight. Your presence is the thing that makes mineral sites fail, not the mineral itself. Over 10 seasons, the commercial mineral program costs you roughly $1,000 to $3,000, depending on how many sites you run. The battery method costs you about $12 for the same period, and you only visit the site twice, once to install and once to hunt. The rest of the time the batteries are working and you are not there, which is why the deer show up in daylight instead of at 2 a.m. when your boot scent has faded. That is the whole system, $1, 3 minutes. And a mineral site that produces while you sleep, while you work, while you sit at home watching football on Sundays, wondering if the deer are still coming. They are. The batteries are making sure of it. Set one up this summer on your best stump, run a camera for 3 weeks, and the next time you walk past the battery rack at the gas station, grab a pack of the cheap ones. The deer do not care about battery life, they care about zinc. And when the guy at deer camp asks what mineral product you are running this year, you can hold up a dead AA battery from the junk drawer and watch the conversation change. Some tricks sound ridiculous until the camera tells a different story. This one sounds like something a crazy person would do. Run a camera over it for 3 weeks and decide for yourself whether the crazy person was wrong.